Well known, once an elf encounters an orc, it will be powerless, become a prisoner. But there is such a different elf princess. As soon as you see the green-skinned orc, you lose control. Take the initiative to give a hug, can't stop. But what he didn't know was the orc in front of him was transformed into a dragon. I don't even know that the dragon is the male protagonist, because playing games in a previous life was a sudden death, reincarnated in this world. And here is the appalling dungeon. Although it is densely packed, monsters appear frequently, but it still attracts countless adventurers. Just for the mountains of wealth in the male protagonist. But even though he has the power to destroy the world, but he still wants to stay here to protect his baby. Until this day he appeared. An orc opened the door in a panic. Shout out, Lord Langdon. An elf broke into our dungeon. And it's weird. Langdon, who was about to lose his temper, immediately calmed down again. He is a great sage, although you can kill the elf with a pinch. But that would completely expose itself. The constant crusade will come. At that time, people and money will be empty. Missiles may still be hung up for display. And as he thought about it, he was horrified, and he had beads of sweat all over his forehead. So I plan to transform into humans to scare them away. But look at your exposed tail. Instantly dispelled the idea. Finally, he set his sights on the orc boy. Dragon Super Evolution. Giant green-skinned orcs come standard with classic strikes. At the same time, the elf team that passed the 5 levels and cut the 6 beasts came to the gate. The elf woman in the lead kept sighing. I didn't expect it. There's no green-skinned oak that stinks the most in the world. What a pity for orcs. Rumor has it that every orc is the embodiment of evil desire. Once caught by them, the consequences are unimaginable. I'm a little excited just thinking about it. But just then, dream come true. A very strong. The figure who looks very capable walks out of the carnival. It is the green-skinned orc. You come up with a roar. Quickly discovered that there was an elf princess in the team. If one is not careful, the entire elven kingdom will come to crusade. But if you play dead, just a few of them stand. I couldn't even scratch him hard enough. But just as Langdon was thinking about how to be defeated, the elf princess used a trick called Sleeping Claw. Plus, Teleportation Emperor. Strongly send the teammates out safely. Immediately followed by a thirsty expression. The guy who gets in the way. It's all gone now. Come and optimize me. You, Mr. Orc, with evil desires in your heart. No matter how much you cry, if I dare to resist a little, I will lose. For this day, I've been waiting for 5 years. The ideal is finally coming true. Once upon a time, there was a fairy tale book. It's about the elf princess and the 7th famous person. Plus the mannequin prince and the elf queen. The story of living a happy life together. And that's the root of all evil. Leading to the current elf princess, I just want to play with the orcs. I firmly believe that in this world, there can be no orcs who don't like to attack elves. Don't ink come and attack me. You are evil. Fierce and energetic green-skinned orcs. This made Langdon a little curious. Where did you get this bizarre waste knowledge? The elf princess with a face of wisdom was suddenly revealed. Started telling that fantasy story. It's pretty brutal. Minors, please watch with your parents. And this book is treasured in the Kingdom Library. The author is also the elf high priest Blue Lamp. Can't stand the rage. This kind of elf can become a high priest. Wambio is not finished yet. It's a miracle. After seeing the elf princess, not a trace of fear. More excited. Are you finally going to attack me? This is the rarest ascetic orc I've ever met. It's overwhelming. Patience is not good for the body. Just let him out. He was speechless when he heard this anger. They let him go. Look at him like this. Sooner or later. So far, this is the only way. As an elf princess, her companions will definitely call someone to rescue her. Just fight and play dead. He fantasizes about his perfect plan. Put on a smile. So he pulled out a pair of handcuffs. The elf princess took it up consciously. It's so exciting to be handcuffed. You can still control your inner desires. The will is really strong. The next second, he was thrown into prison. Look around at this familiar scene. It's his favorite episode. Green Oak, orc. Tear off the arrogance of the elf in the roughest way. It was originally developed according to the script. But Langdon turned around and left. This also made the elf princess understand in an instant. I want to test myself. Improvisation is hard to get. Let me gradually collapse in the dark dungeon. Then willingly become a prisoner. He touched this one with some worry. But unexpectedly, it cracked. I even thought to myself, aren't you afraid of running away? But just as it was about to pass through, he stuck. Instantly understand the intentions of the orcs. I see. If you hadn't read widely. I really don't know the figure of Mr. Orc. The dignified elf princess was reduced to a prisoner. And here's the sad part. At this moment, she is stuck in the railing. Can't move. In this manner. Once discovered by the rough orcs. You will definitely be attacked severely. But unexpectedly, Mr. Orc won't even touch it. And he yanked her out of the railing. The elf princess who didn't respond fell to the ground on the spot. And then he started to love again. Come on, I can't take it anymore. At the same time, a team teleported to the wilderness. People are very worried. Insist. It was teleportation magic used by the green-skinned orcs. I want to go back and ask Melissa, the guardian of the city, for help. And at this moment, in the wizard tower of Pilong City, Melissa is making a secret potion. It was outside the door that an apprentice walked in. The fairy princess is captured by the orcs. The surviving elves want your help. And Melissa listened, and I was delighted. Elves are none of my business. Things in the blind hands that continue to look after themselves. He is a human being. Why are you here? I heard that there are dragons here. Because the key he wants to refine. It's the lack of materials on the dragon. But he's been here for years and you can't even see his hair. No wonder, after all, in this world, there is no living dragon. The work in progress has been refined. The one with a smile wants the disciple to try the medicine. It's a guarantee. It's definitely fine this time. But if the poor and helpless apprentice is already tired of hearing it, say that every time. But every time something goes wrong, not into the sea. Just have a week of diarrhea. Even learn to breathe fire. Melissa is getting too soft to eat. We had to go hard. Instantly form a magic circle. Hundreds of tentacles spewed out of it. Tentacles or something. He hates it. That's it. In order to make his disciple stronger, Melissa took great pains to feed the medicine herself. But it's just an anxious elf pushing open the door. But I just happened to see this scene. You humans are as legendary as ever. Just like this. But just as Melissa was about to drive them away, and I noticed something. It was something he wanted to meet in his dreams. So go, before reconfirming. Yes, that familiar smell. Think of that beautiful white and arrogant elf princess. Right now with those ugly green-skinned orcs. Fight hard. And this incident has alarmed the whole country. The public is also very worried about this. There are even people who put the plot that happened in the dungeon made into a comic to show pity for the elf princess. It was a hit. And now to save the princess, the guards want to seek the guardians of Pilon City, Melissa's savior. But unexpectedly, a wave came on the spot, up close. He looked at the bloodhead stone that was tied up beside him. And he understood. Ask people to do things, but also show your sincerity. I will obey your strange behavior. This will save the princess. I can accept any price. Hit me with those sticky tentacles. Give me that obedient potion again. Make me unable to resist? And these words also inspired the other two guards. If so, add the two of us. Melissa's seat is very disdainful. For their barren stature. Not interested at all. The only thing that attracts him is the smell of his body. And the smell. It was the dragon he had dreamed of searching for. His many studies. It is the lack of materials on the dragon. No progress. So he decided to kill two birds with one stone. But just then, the apprentice who drank the potion working in progress turned into a frog. Melissa just laughed it off. Because I'm about to succeed. The army is leaving the city in a mighty manner. Melissa is the only one who is worried. After all, there are many eyes. Dragons can't be revealed to the public casually. When considering whether to use forbidden spell magic or hypnotism, the guards on the side come to remind the precautions. There is space teleportation magic in the dungeon. The teleported will fall into depth, in a coma, and this inadvertent sentence Wake up, Melissa, in an instant. As long as he keeps these troublesome guys, just teleport to hundreds of kilometers away. At that time, won't the dragon be at my disposal? At this moment, the blue light that has transformed back into a human shape is very helpless, looking at my mountain of treasure and lost in thought. If you continue to keep him in the dungeon, he's sure to come up with more mess. But as long as I turn around, build him an elf-style living room. This will definitely have unexpected effects. Watch the natural magic at your fingertips. With light magic, I can't help but sigh that magic is really a convenient thing. And then, just throw that elf here and stop. You can be quiet, waiting for his rescuer to appear. And then it was over. As an elf princess, hobbies are whips, candles, horse herding, the torture of restraint. I even dream of becoming a green-skinned orc's wife. They try their best to be proactive, always fantasizing about Mr. Orc tying himself up and taking him away. Langdon, who couldn't stand it, decided to let the elf change the environment. Pray for it to work. But unexpectedly, the elf came when he opened his mouth. It's actually the rumored elf ranch. There's no question. It must be to raise more elves in captivity. Just like humans raise dairy pastures, searching for beautiful women, erase their humanity and reason here, leaving only the instinct of death. Are you still going to start with the Smurfs? Sure enough, it is written in the book that orcs have this fetish. But just when the blue light was about to collapse, the younger brother hastily informed. A large number of intruders appeared outside the dungeon. The elf princess was depressed after listening. Immediately thought of a good idea, Mr. Orc. Let's go elope. The blue light laughed. It was too late. They're pushing too fast. At the same time, all kinds of magic emerge in the dungeon. Even the Tauren fell to the ground. The reason why Melissa was so eager. Because when you step into this place, already aware of the breath of the Dragon Clan, but just then, a strong figure emerged, holding an elf princess in her hand. Let me go. I'm not going with them. But I didn't expect. This time Mr. Orc is really obedient. Fell to the ground. After seeing it, the guard hurried to help. But what he didn't expect was, it was slapped open. I'm not coming with you. I finally met Mr. Orc. I will cherish this opportunity. Many little orc babies. The guard, who couldn't stand it, stepped forward and grabbed it. Do you want to listen to what you are saying? It's a pity that the elf princess has made up her mind. It uses magic to summon the power of thorns. Keep the guards out. Cold eyes. Instead of being cold, one step further. Our relationship will change from friend to foe. This sentence made the guard unbelievable. Since it will be for the orc. Has the princess forgotten her childhood? Is there a friendship of adventure along the way? Definitely not. Definitely. What did that damn orc do to the princess? After learning the truth, the princess became even more excited. I can't wait to become an exclusive weakness immediately. when people hear the shameless words of the elf princess. All agree. The green-skinned orcs must have used some method, because just before they leave, almost everyone has watched it several times. Booklet about the elf princess. It tells what happened. It records the rebellion of the princess from the beginning. Slowly, the heart starts to shake. Eventually, the whole person breaks down, and now the orc appeared in front of them with the princess. Must want them to take a good look. The former princess has now been reduced to, the more the prisoner thinks about the angry crowd. Morale spiked. This is exactly what Langdon wanted. Adventurers swarmed. Reward ugly orcs. From then on, the dungeon returned to its former tranquility. But just as I was about to play dead, Melissa has been silent. Completed group teleportation array. In the next second, everyone was sent away in an instant. And this scene is so familiar. Only one animal and one frog stayed where they were. And then Melissa closes the book. First meeting, Mr. Dragon from the Abyss. My name is Melissa. He is a sage and mage from the human world. Greetings from 9 people representing the truth of magic. The apprentice on the shoulder slammed. Fear of being silenced. I had to poke myself blind on the spot. Poke your own eardrum. The elf princess is also a pair. Clueless. The true identity of the Orcs of Oak has been discovered. It had to be a showdown. Appeared in front of them in human form. Instant smile from the heart. See my essence. Is it hard? Melissa added. Such a strong abyss breath. It is indeed a pure dragon that cannot be purer. But what neither of them expected was, I saw the princess's face turn slightly red. It's actually a legend. A race more energetic than the orcs. Not just humanoid women, even animal monsters. This led to the spread of sub-dragons across the continent, and every creature taken by the dragon will become pathetic, and enviable meat. Now, Mr. Orc's life is shattered. But it's better to be a dragon rider. Become a ruthless field machine. It was so exciting. Melissa at the play couldn't help complaining. The thoughts of our fairy princess, it's really different from the mainstream concept. Blue Lantern's face sank. He doesn't believe in the wise. Will simply come to save Princess Mary. Sarah doesn't talk too much nonsense. Straight to the point. Because he wants to refine it. Most require harvesting organs as raw materials. And the most powerful stimulant he has recently developed. It only takes 1 drop to be incredibly sensitive. One of the most important materials. It was the experience of the dragon. Originally, it was with the idea of slaying dragons. I want to take all of you. But unfortunately, you are not a sage like the other dragons. But the great sage. You can't find a few in the whole continent. Elf princess, a tap. Almost out of control. Ordinary dragons are already very fierce. This is still a great sage level. Not directly to God, The reason why Melissa is not afraid. Because he knows. Langan didn't want the world to know he existed. After all, he killed a human sage. The eyes of the entire continent will be drawn here. To correct the plot, the orcs are not full of ideas. He actually came up with a plot of self-directing and self-acting. It could even change the way the world thinks about orcs. And the reason for doing this? It's because of the blue light dilemma. Silencing will only lead to more trouble. Do nothing. Even if you obediently hand over your achievements, let Melissa make that powerful reminder. Can't erase the immense impact of kidnapping the princess. It may even affect the diplomatic world of authority. The more you think about it, the more troublesome the blue light breaks the defense in an instant. I don't have it. He posted it all on his own initiative. The clothes are torn by themselves. Handcuffs are on your own. The position is set by yourself. Even the water on the ground flows by itself. Uncle Police, you have to believe me. But even if the blue light does this, it didn't help either. Because in human cognition, orcs are excrement. It has to be as thorough as flushing a toilet. This also made those Wangzhengyan in the blue light begin to suffer severe pain. Cleaning up women is trouble. But suddenly thought of something. As long as it can completely change all human cognition, isn't it fine? I don't even use magic. Make humans like orcs or dungeon creatures. Not even an abyss dragon like him. This made Melissa curious. If there was such a way, it has long been used by the Holy See kingdoms, and Langan's answer was cultural aggression. Walking is the entertainment route. It's a theatrical performance that uses magic to record images. The plot is easy to understand. Words and deeds compound the public. Even farmers working in the countryside. You can see the figure. And you'll be my camera and special effects artist. I'll be the director and screenwriter male lead. This sudden new knowledge. CP dry smoke for 2 people on the spot. But when the fairy princess heard that there was a male lead, there must be a female number 1. So he volunteered. And this time Langdon didn't refuse. Because he originally intended to let the elf princess be. After all this mess is caused by him. Being a first woman is an atonement. Just then, Melissa said that since it is a drama, then you have to have a fascinating script. Facing doubts. The blue light shows a calm face. Countless works flashed in my mind. I thought of a name on the spot, elves and orcs. But I also feel that if we want to change the prejudice, you have to add more material. A hodgepodge of elements. Eventually become the headline party. Pure and unsullied elf princess. With savage and dirty green-skinned orcs. A long time ago, the elf queen gave birth to a princess. Because of the snow-white skin, so she named it Snow White. But then he was persecuted by his evil stepmother. Have to flee the kingdom. Then he was rescued by the orcs in the dungeon. And this orc is the cursed human prince. She fell in love at first sight in order to change back to the way she was. have to ask the witch for help. The price is to sacrifice everything you have. It started with fear. Therefore, she won the favor of the princess. Although the human state lasted only one night, but it was enough to make the prince happy. Fortunately, after a period of running, the princess gradually accepts, a beast on the outside, a prince on the inside. Hearing this elf princess, her face turned red. What is a human prince? A body that can be blown away by a gust of wind? How can you compare it to Mr. Orc? But the ending of the story is so tragic. Vicious stepmother, with the help of the magic mirror, found the princess to protect his beloved. The prince resolutely sacrificed his heart, acquire great power, but in the end, in a handsome human pose, fell into the arms of the princess. It turns out that the reason why it is so big, just because this is the organ for storing magical knowledge. Just now, Blue Lantern, a small story of stitching, really moved everyone. But unfortunately, the story doesn't end well. Obviously, so infatuated Mr. Orc, but was hurt again and again. Even the human sage Melissa herself admits the excellence of the story, once on the theatrical stage, must change the perception of orcs. And that was it. Shooting started. Mirror, mirror, who is the biggest in the world? But what answered him wasn't the result he wanted. The princess is 1,000 times bigger than you. I was infuriated when I heard this. I'm going to kill him. I am the only woman in the world. Then a loud clap came. The first segment was shot 4 times and finally passed, because Melissa has never been able to find that feeling. There is still someone bigger than me. But this also made the elf princess on the side sullen. Happy to see yourself, Mr. Dragon. Staring at other women for so long, she hurriedly urged that it was her turn. And what happens next is in the flowers. We've got a problem. I want to simulate blue sky and white clouds in the room. Still a little difficult. But the blue light forgot. They have sage special effects artists. Anything an illusion magic can do. The sun is shining today. The princess is playing happily among the flowers. Wanton fiddling with his body. Show a charming smile. As expected of a princess. Doesn't look like acting. But right here is the police. The princess who played the script started to improvise. Another day when I hope to be attacked by Mr. Orc. I really want to be thrown to the ground by Mr. Orc. And as he played the Blue Lantern. He couldn't stand it. He immediately yelled. What I want is your daily state in the elf kingdom. The elf princess looked disdainful after hearing it, because this was her normal routine. Then, under the extreme restraint of the princess, finally recorded. Just inject a little magic into the crystal ball. You can put the picture in mid-air. And that's exactly what Blue Lantern wants to achieve. Towards a wave of excitement into the brow bone, continue filming the next plot. The evil queen sends troops to hunt down the princess. Then he was rescued by the orc prince. But now we have a problem. There were only 4 of them. The scenario of the pursuit cannot be ruled out, even if you take advantage of Low Goblin and Tauren in the dungeon. Can't achieve the desired effect, because those guys walk in a very peculiar way. You can turn it into a horror movie. Luckily, Langdon had an idea. Don't they have it ready-made? At the same time, somewhere in the forest, the adventurer who originally slashed at the orcs of Oak just reacted. They are no longer in the dungeon. The brace twice makes it impossible to collapse. Start explaining to the crowd. Attack the orcs every time. The teleportation array will be triggered, and that shocked them. How can you teleport so many people in one go? You can't even do great things. But just then, a hurried word came and Lord Melissa was gone. For the evil king, open your eyes. Last time it was the princess. This time it's Lord Melissa. We can't afford to put it off. Then he led the crowd to the direction of the dungeon. But what they didn't expect was 3 pairs of eyes were staring at them in the grass. The elf princess can't control herself when she sees the orcs, even actively exercise. But instead, when I see a human, I can't stop vomiting at the mouth. Just because the blue lights came up with a plan, with the help of adventurers, let's have a real chase scene. Let the elf princess disappear first and blend into the front of the crowd. Then cast illusions. Make them think it's a green-skinned orc. In order to be saved by an orc hero. Time is running out. Random path. And you only get 1 shot. The army didn't go long. The sharp female elf suddenly noticed something. But take a closer look. Eyes widened in an instant because she saw the fairy princess. And the elf princess at this moment stayed where she was, waiting for orders. Suppressed and will be saved by Mr. Orc later. The maneuver is at this moment. Melissa unleashed an illusion. Blinking kung fu. The fairy princess becomes an orc. The next second, turn around and run on the spot. Elf Light thought she was trying to save the princess. Too eager to read wrong. Anxious, she immediately fired an arrow. But unexpectedly, the other party is so strong, since the body is so flexible. Dodge on the spot. And then, in a fit of rage, he shoots again. But the other party is still in the snakeskin position. Swim nimbly in the sword rain. And this scene can't help but make the blue light climb the tree. True is wonderful. But it's you. When the elves are ready to outflank and siege with their teammates, a big tree in front suddenly fell. Block their pursuit. And it occurred to them immediately that there must be other orcs out there. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. I didn't expect so many people to survive in this area. Must report to the kingdom immediately. Destroy all the plants, trees, flowers, and bullets here. The other side at the moment, according to the script, orcs step forward. Rescue the princess despite the danger. Running all the way back to the dungeon. The princess looked around. Obviously, only a crude orc on the outside. Living in such a beautiful room. Discrimination against each other is your own lifesaver. But the heart is still vigilant. The simple and honest orc looked at the shy and lovely princess on the bed. a little embarrassed. Express that you don't like this kind of thing. That's why I shot. Then follow the original plot. The princess should be very frightened. But she sentenced herself to another sentence. I really can't repay it. I can only promise you. He was really not afraid of Mr. Orc. Stroking big muscles. Shenqing charming, shy. Doesn't Mr. Orc want me to marry him? Fan Dang faced such discomfort. Can't hold it at all. If you continue to shoot, I'm afraid it will be banned. Just don't come out. The good thing is it's tricky. Melissa figured out a way. Use the illusion to transform the Blue Lantern into a handsome human prince. A crisp snap of fingers came. Blonde hair. Gorgeous human figure. Appeared in the public eye. Only the elf princess looked disgusted. Very speechless. The heart is constantly deceiving itself. Don't be fooled by his disgusting appearance. He's still Mr. Orc. Mr. Dragon. But in the end, physiology still defeated him. Rainbow nowhere. But just as Melissa was complacent, instantly noticed something. The tone is a little hurried. Mr. Dragon, something is going on outside. Becoming a magician is convenient. Can perform and change equipment anytime, anywhere. It's almost impossible. Just let me bear all the pain. And before that, Melissa noticed something strange. But fortunately, she used an illusion to hide the entrance to the dungeon. At the same time, Above Ground Adventures are holding a marathon. They've been running back and forth for hours, but still can't find the way to the dungeon. Firm eyes with elves. The elves are natural waiters. Absolutely impossible to get lost, but someone immediately denied it, because there are several sites along the way. I've seen it several times. This sentence also made the elf begin to shake. He has long realized, so I decided to try again one last time. Fortunately, hard work pays off. They finally came out. But not a dungeon. It's a rural area. Kindly discussed with the villagers and learned that this is the city of Sidam. They went completely in the wrong direction. The other side, the knight played by apprentice April holds his sword aloft. Lead the troops to surround the Green Oak orcs. The elf princess hid behind her with a rosy face. The next second, they swarm. But just then, orcs become humans on the spot. After a hard battle for the prince, eventually destroy all the enemies. And the prince fell into the arms of the princess due to the witch's curse. Should have been sad. But the elf princess almost couldn't hold back. I have to endure it again and shoot again. At the last moment of life, the prince's wish is to dance. It's like they don't know each other. The atmosphere is very delicate. Embrace and dance on a lit stage. So far, the performance has ended perfectly. And that's much faster than Blue Lantern had expected. Just as she pushed the elf princess away, but was held by both hands. So the shoot is done, right? Then, according to the agreement, here we go. You can always capture the experience of Mr. Dragon. The next second, a crisp snap of fingers came. Melissa is transformed. The syringe nurse uniform is ready. It's not exactly sickness. If this goes on, the number will be gone. So the Blue Lantern Alliance says, their agreement, but it won't be done until it's released in theaters. Now only the first step has been completed. Later, it will also be divided into machine positions, edited and spliced later, etc. So I asked Ahu to help make the film. But just then, Melissa posed a fatal question. There's not a proper theater in Purong. They're working so hard, there's nowhere to show it. What can be done? Just then, Akur refused to complain. I might be able to help. In an instant, it was like being locked by two beasts. Stay put and shiver. Since someone is broadcasting in the theater, this kind of picture is absolutely touching. Just because there's no place for a good action movie to be shown. But just when everyone was at a loss, time. Akur says he runs the bureau from home. Although relatively deserted, but it's better than nothing. So that's it. Under the random leadership of Akur. After almost half a circle, we finally reached the OSIS bureau. Just by pasting a performance on the wall for half a month. Enough to show it all. But now, they had no choice. Knocking on the door. But soon after, there were complaints in the bush. I've said it several times. We will not sell this theater. Just as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. But I saw the buckle in it. The two sisters hugged each other excitedly. Then he began to introduce the legends behind him one by one. When I learned that it was not the acquirer, the woman introduced herself in apology. My name is Emilios, currently running this bureau. And the blue light that just entered the door can't wait to get straight to the topic. I'm here to talk about partnerships. I'm sure everyone knows what's going on in this theater. But here I am, with the waves of the new era, bring this theater back to life. It will definitely subvert your cognition. But just then, two figures walked in outside the door. Come in and point and take such a good position. It's still so deserted. It's better to change to pig farming. This gentleman, I advise you to behave yourself. Here, the giant trees are dead. It's all corny stuff. Only our famous Redmond Theater. To save this. But just as Emily was about to blast them away, the blue lantern stood out, and it was indeed lifeless here. It's corny, but it's not just about this. But in saying, all theaters are old stuff. You will all be eliminated. These words immediately sent Redmond into cardiac arrest. Run to the best hospital in town. Just as Emily expressed her gratitude. But was blue. I'm not helping you get ahead when the lights break on the spot. That's the truth. Let's welcome the new era together. Elves and orcs. Innocent fairy princess. But what nobody expected was, it started off really hot. See, people want to buy spray stamps? These are indescribable pictures. The blue light ascended to the sky on the spot. I actually forgot to cut this part off, but still can't help complaining. Emily watched with relish. A blushing bubble teapot. Shouldn't it be better? But Emily, who was already fascinated, didn't hear it at all. Watching the ups and downs of the plot. Ultimately miserable ending. It made him cry. Although it is admitted to be a masterpiece. But today's theaters can't even open their doors. Not to mention the cost of hiring. Langdon says he doesn't care about money. Not interested in money. All he cares about is how many people can watch this movie.